We're going to jump into the Word today. Anybody ready for that? And for those of you guys who have been with us the last several weeks, we have been in a series called Rebuilders. And today we're going to be wrapping up this conversation. And it's been a beautiful week, a beautiful last several weeks as we've been talking about what it means to be the kind of people who rebuild. And speaking of rebuilding, we rejoice because we've had the opportunity to help victims of the Marshall Fire rebuild. We've been handing out checks over the last several weeks to people that you guys know. And we haven't had all the stories come back yet, but I got a story even just a couple days ago that there was a family who lost their house in the fire unexpectedly, as everyone did. But they were even uncertain whether they'd get able to get out. They were going down the road. They packed up their car, they were leaving their neighborhood, and they said that the fire was actually licking the side of their car. It was that close. And so we were able to hand deliver a check on behalf of Vine Life Church for $1,500. And they just responded. They're so grateful for Vine Life, and this donation, which is going to help them purchase something new for their eventual rebuild. And they said the outpouring of community love that they have been showered has outweighed the grief and the physical losses. And so it's awesome. It's one little story. We shared a story over our email. We blasted this out a couple weeks ago. Cynthia over here was able to go hand deliver a check to a clerk at a liquor store in Superior. And she found out that this woman had lost her home. And so she went in. She said that this woman she'd never seen her smile before. And so she went in and she said, "Hey, by the way, we just want to let you know that we love you. We're praying for you." She gave her a check for $1,500. She said the woman, not only did she smile, but she just started crying, and she just started thanking Cynthia and also Vine Life just for what that meant for her. And so again, just little bits of love. Can we thank God for awesome opportunities to do that? There's even other stories that we'll continue to share. But rebuilding is a beautiful thing when we can catch a vision that this is our purpose. This is how God has wired us to be rebuilders. So we've talked about both receiving a rebuilding spirit. We've talked about rebuilding prayer. We've talked about rebuilding together as a family of God. We've talked about last week, Kevin brought a great message about rebuilding resilience when all of the obstacles and all of the challenges come, and they will come. And then today we get to talk a little bit about rebuilding mindsets. And we've been entering into this story. It's an ancient story, but it's a story that we all face. It's a story of building something new when you're surrounded by rubble on every side. And some of you know what that feels like, to look around your life and see rubble on different sides. Some of you know what that feels like personally, to see devastation on whether it's relational devastation or financial devastation or even a home devastation. We can see that in our world and in our nation. There's things that have been torn down. And there's very few, it seems, that have an imagination of what to rebuild. Some of you know what it's like to have to rebuild from a tragedy. Others know what it's like to do something great and dream big only to have resistance hit you on every side. And so one of the reasons that we're talking about this as a church is not only do we believe we're in a rebuilding season as a church, but we just believe it's something that God is doing. We're reminded that we're headed into days that I don't believe will be kind to us. That's not necessarily a prophetic word. It's just a sense of the days that we're living in. I feel like that there's more resistance and there's more pressure and there's more that are coming at us on every side. I believe that we've been in a season where Christians in the West, many of us have become soft and timid and easily distracted, easily moved. And we must become the type of people with thick skin and tender hearts. Not soft skin and hard hearts. Thick skin and tender hearts. Those who are anchored into the love of God, into the nature of God. Not easily moved and not easily swayed. How many of you guys want that?